or is it a performance evaluation that's kind of unannounced and you're looking at those areas of focus? Where are we going with those?
Let me answer it by telling you I messed up on a slide already. The one earlier that had all the boxes with one dark box, and I said that was days and day in there. Think of it as classes. And that's really the way that Kim Marshall described it. And this is a book that administrators and student services folks were asked to read this summer, and it is based on his work. And so think of those boxes as classes rather than days, first of all. And then they are unannounced. That next slide that Maria went over with the same number of boxes, but just dots, multiple dots in there. Those are the drop-ins, unannounced. And so it's not a scheduled, let's meet beforehand, let's talk about a day and time I can come in. So they are unannounced, dropping in. I'm sorry.
The big ones.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I got the timing.
Gotcha.
I'm saying
for a probationary teacher, by a probationary teacher or contract teacher?
Contract person. No. So we go to this cycle for a contract person because there's a concern.
Right.
The performance evaluation, which sounds like the old way we did business, is that announced or unannounced to go in and look for the concerns that we're having?
Yeah, I knew this was Maria's question. She wants to get up already because she was on that subcommittee.
I'm going to throw that question back to you, Josh. What evidence do you need in order to help that teacher improve? So it might be that you say to that teacher, hey, I'm going to come back and take a bigger look. Because what I see right now is that you're struggling with your classroom management or your transitions. So how about if I come in next Monday during reading and let me just take a bigger look. So that teacher knows you're going to come. Or it may be that you just want to drop in and have a longer look. Maybe you just feel that you're not getting what you need out of those mini observations and you're wondering, is it just because I'm not here long enough, or is this teacher not really doing the quality of education, or quality of instruction that I'm expecting? So it's really the evidence that you need as an administrator. It could be announced or unannounced.
Thank you.
And I was heading where Ron also just mentioned to me, some of the things did not change. And specifically, probationary teachers must have the 2 formal observations with a pre-conference and a post-conference. That's by statute. And so that's why those things didn't change. And that's an important piece. With Kim Marshall and his work, a lot of it has to do with the multiple mini observations as being a key component to improve learning and teaching, but it's also that conversation that Maria just mentioned. It's that conversation you're having, and what evidence do we need to make sure that a teacher is continuing to learn in their profession and grow in their profession, and that kids are learning. So it's a combination of not only the stopping in and observing multiple times every year, but it's also very important that conversation that follows that.
Okay, a couple things on a wrap up of this. This is huge, and our lives are so busy. So as you look through the flow chart and you see all these dates, it's really important we put those down on paper, or else it's very nice to say, I'm going to be in your classroom 6-7 times this year. But without that accountability, then I'm going to do a couple of these by this date and a couple more by this. You don't get there because you are very busy launching school in September, and then October rolls around and you've got fall sports going on in football, you've got October happenings, you've got some testing starting. So the flow chart keeps everybody in line and accountable. And also, if there's a problem and you go to your administrator and say, I'm really struggling, the administrator has heard you and there's a time frame, they need to get back to you and not put it off 4, 6, 8 weeks, because we all do that. All of a sudden we've realized that we promised to do something and now 2 weeks has gone by. So that time frame kind of holds us all accountable to getting back, again, for the success of the teacher, for the success of the kids. So Secondly, there were two ideas I had, that time frame thing, and also, in the past, if you felt, or I should talk about me, if I felt uncomfortable with the skill I was doing, I went from middle school to elementary. I went from a department of 9 to none. I did a lesson, and I said, hey, Carolyn, how was that lesson? Hey, pretty darn good. Oh, you sucked it up that day. You know, you went back and forth with yourself because nobody came in to see what you were doing. But with this, it's, if I blow it, we're hoping that along the lines you can go and seek help without feeling that you're going to be so highly judged. You're going to go in and out of being basic to proficient to extremely high, depending upon the skill you're tackling. And seriously, if you don't hit basic, you're not learning. So we're hoping we can encourage people to say, it's okay that you're basic in that area, let's get you some support systems. So people may go in and out of that performance support and cycle and then back in. And it's not, it should not be in the next year or 2 or 3 as scary as it has been in the past to admit, I'm really kind of deficit in this area and I need some help. We're hoping people can flow in and out. So, question?
Speaking of dates, I understand that by statute, the probationary teachers need to have this done by February 15th. The piece that's always been a disconnect for me is with the newer teachers setting the goals for 6 months down the road. So is that piece going to still hold?
We talked about this, so you guys need to refresh my memory. One of the things we talked about was with contract teachers and with the end of the year of that first year, a lot of our data comes in after we have to legally go to the board, which goes to the state, say we're going to keep these teachers on board. So with our probationary and people that are on their cycle of evaluation, we have to have that done by March 15th is one date, well February 15th and March 15th and April 15th. But a lot of the information we need to set our goals for the following year happen in April and May. So we're actually looking at 2 kind of cycles. If you're probationary, we have to stick with what the state is telling us to do. If you're non-probationary, then we're going to go even deeper into the year, setting the goals so they can work on things over the summer and getting them set. Did that help?
I might be able to speak to that a little bit. What our thoughts were on that is that every year, as teachers, we're going to be setting 2 to 3 goals. One goal is going to be based on our reflection of the rubric. This is one thought that we had. So by reflecting on that rubric at the end of the year and looking at maybe where our weak areas are, we're going to look at setting a goal based on that rubric. As our performance data starts coming in from OAKS and end of the year, we're also going to be looking at that with our department or grade level team, and we're also going to be setting goals as a school. So 1 or 2 other goals would possibly be based on a school goal or a department goal or a grade level goal. So that I, with my PLC team, we would have at least 1 common goal, and possibly with my entire school would be another common goal. So that goal that you've set based on where you're at in the rubric is actually a goal that could carry you if I was teaching 1st grade or 3rd grade or back down to kindergarten. That's probably an area that I need to improve on no matter what grade I'm at. So that's one of the thoughts that we had, if that's helpful. So goal setting actually could happen from April 15th to the following October 15th, depending on how each administrator within their building rolls out their data and their school-wide goals. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. Thank you so much.
So I started with the little world, and we gave you the biggie, and the guys were up here talking about the flow charts. And now the classroom is, because we're going to break it down a little bit more. So some of the questions you may have put down on the stickies, if they haven't been answered, might be answered right now. We'll go further and deeper.
Okay. Doesn't state law require that contract teachers have a formal evaluation every 4 years, or did they drop that and I missed it?
No, we looked at that because we had some of those same questions, and it only addressed probationary teachers.